This is the 153rd episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the first week of October 2013. This episode is titled Winter 14 Permissions and Service. CloudFocus Weekly is brought to you by The Permissioner. Mass assign and revoke Salesforce permission sets. It truly is permission sets made easy. Available for free on the App Exchange or go to thepermissioner.com. I'm your host here, Jason Atwood, and joining me, co-host for the 153rd time in a row, Justin Edelstein. Justin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
How are your permissions doing?
Last I checked, they were doing okay.
Great.
I don't check them that often.
You should check your permissions.
You should. With every release, you probably should check your permissions. I just don't.
I think someone wrote about a blog about what you should do at every release.
Yeah.
Salesforce checkups or something
like that. Kind of like an oil change.
Yes, except for not at all like that at all. We have an agenda, and it's full, like we said, of Winter 14 goodness. Winter 14 is rolling out for some people tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or tonight. I think for our org, it's actually tonight. I looked it up.
Woohoo.
Yeah, so
I love going in there, and then you go in the setup, and it has those little red new.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that's
I love
good.
seeing the new stuff.
Kind of excited about the login page one.
Are you now?
Yeah, my
Tell me why.
stuff. I don't know. I just like that stuff. I like that. I like branding.
Are you going to brand our experience?
Yes, I am. And then I'll probably lock us down so you can only get in by there. It might be neat. But let's talk about.
Does that mean you're the Arkus org administrator?
I am.
62 org administrator.
We're a 63.
60,
one better.
One better.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we have two blog posts at blog.arkusinc.com. Both dealing with Winter 14, and we're going to discuss them both because this will be the last of our Winter 14.
There's one more.
Oh, sorry.
There's
another
one
blog
more
post
coming
about Winter 14.
Yeah, we wrote a lot about Winter 14 because Winter 14 was enormous. And it required a lot of blog posting.
Winter is
we
coming.
Wanted to break it out because just doing one overarching blog post about this particular release, and I have the feeling all releases after this is going to be extremely difficult. So you got to break them down. We love permissions, so we did one about permissions, and we also did one just like we do for sales. We did a service one.
Right.
So we're going to dive into both of those today, yeah?
Yeah, but so what's the one that's coming up? What's the teaser?
Oh, teaser are ideas that have been delivered in Winter 14 that have to do with chatter.
Ooh,
So
chatter
it's like
ideas.
a chatter and idea exchange mixed together.
I think I saw that come through on
the
in
Google
Docs. Yeah, all right.
Not the Google Wave.
I can't wait to read this.
Oh,
so
it's been so long since we've used Google Wave or even mentioned it on this blog.
I deleted it somewhere from some bookmark the other day. I deleted my Google Wave bookmark, and I was like, yeah, it's about time.
What a shame.
I kind of I don't feel like I'm missing anything.
Yeah, Docs took a lot of what Wave did
Docs
and just
is
put
pretty
it
good.
in there.
All right, so let's talk first about Salesforce service enhancements for Winter
Sure.
14. Again, there was a big section. I was the writer of this episode or this blog post, and there was tons
There
to
really
go through.
is a lot.
So I picked out 1, 2, 3, 4 that I really liked. I'm going to pick one now that we can
Okay.
talk about.
Pick one.
I'm going to pick something near and dear to my heart.
Go on.
It's a kind of a small feature, but I love where this is going. So
Yeah.
I'm picking a feature that I'm hoping shows up everywhere. So as everybody knows, if you're a podcast listener, I'm big into productivity. I'm big into making go faster, better, easier. And so I'm big into keyboard shortcuts. Like if there's a keyboard shortcut that I can learn and use, I'm very happy for that. Like I love keyboard shortcuts. And most applications do a really good job of having them everywhere. It's very good on Macs. Google Docs has done a really good job of adding them in.
Right.
I even think I made one of my picks one week an app that showed you every keyboard shortcut of any app you're on. I'm forgetting the name of it. I think it's called Clear, if I recall.
I don't know. I can hit the little key and it'll all pop open for me. It doesn't say the name of it. It just tells you who it's by.
Okay. Well, whatever. So my favorite feature is probably this tiny little thing that very few people are going to enjoy, but it's called the Keyboard Shortcuts panel. And it's in the service, in the console, in the new console, not the old console, not to be confused. that you can now do a quick overlay, right, with the simple command of Command K, and you can do a quick overlay, very much like Google. So I even gave them a hem credit, a hem Google, a hem, that does a overlay of all the keyboard commands available in the new console. So I say this because I'm not a console user. I say this because, I want them to put a lot more keyboard commands within Salesforce. And if they would do that, one more time, they would then they would use this terminology or this way of showing this. It's a great thing. It's like keyboard commands, again, you have to learn them, and once you learn them, they become very, very fast. But, to be able to get to see, what is that thing? Especially on a website, because on a browser or on an application, you can just go look. It'll tell you, go look, file new, it's, command new. So anyway, it's a tiny feature, but it sparked my interest, and I'm really interested to see if they'll not only do this for regular sales, maybe the Sales Cloud, maybe the Sales Console, hint, hint, but I mean, just the idea that they're getting into putting a lot of keyboard commands into hopefully the main application. So that's mine.
That's cool. Do I have to pick one from your blog post, or can I just go off the premise of service? I'll pick one off your post, and then we can come back. I mean,
pick another one.
Because we're gonna probably spend a little time on this anyway.
Sure.
Right. So I think the big one that you listed first is huge, which is Salesforce Knowledge Access for all internal users.
Yes.
So I think Salesforce has come around to the fact that most people are consumers of knowledge, not creators of knowledge.
Right.
Most people in most organizations. So the fact that you can basically now buy one Salesforce knowledge license and then have knowledge available to every internal user
read-only,
which is what they need it for. Let me search through it. Let me look at the knowledge and let me, take action. Right?
Knowledgeize myself.
Yeah, let me take action on it, right? I think this is huge, right? Get organizations to, be much more knowledge oriented, right? So the notion that I no longer have to pay for a knowledge license for every user in my org in order to use it is very, very big to me. And I think this will just blow the knowledge adoption out of the water and say goodbye to solutions sooner than later.
Well, I mean,
they're always going to be there, but the idea of like using them will start to die off completely.
I don't think that this is the feature that would kill off solutions, because solutions has this. Solution has the things that this doesn't have, which is solutions is included. And
yeah, but now you only need one license for this.
Right, but if you want it, but you can use solutions for the things that you use to use solutions for, which is the cases. So you're saying you get knowledge, one license to build knowledge, and then everybody else can use it for case management.
That's as I understand it. Yes.
I'm not sure that's the way it is. I think this is to an internal
how else
user.
Would you use it? Just look at it.
Right. An internal user who's just a salesperson can look at knowledge, but can't use it in a case or use it in a.
No way. That makes no sense.
Otherwise, they just lost a lot of knowledge licenses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they want people using it.
But you say that like Mark Benioff doesn't want to make money.
Yeah, but he also wants to deploy products that people use. Because once you're hooked, you're hooked.
Right, but we've always said that knowledge is part of Service Cloud, and Service Cloud is very ROI driven, and ROI is easy to prove in service because people cost money and people pick up phones and tickets can all be very measured, unlike most other things. So I can measure. It took you 4.2 seconds to answer that ticket, and you cost me, $10 a day. So therefore, this is how much those tickets cost. I don't know. I think this is more. I think this is great because I like knowledge, and I've used to, or I've helped organizations use solutions as a way of training internally. So not as a way for public consumption, but to train internally. So great if that's the real way it is. I kind of don't think that is. I feel like it's still, if you're going to use knowledge in terms of case management, you still need to be a knowledge user license.
I don't think so, because I think all you need is the ability to view it in order to use it.
That seems like a distinction I'm not really ready to.
And there's not a whole lot of clarity in the actual release notes about this, so we'll know more when the release comes out.
Almost as much clarity as there is.
I feel like all you really need in order to actually use a knowledge article is the ability to view it.
No, not to associate it to a case.
Why?
Well, I'm saying that's what they'll block. Let's do an on-air bet.
On-air bet.
Dreamforce.
No Dreamforce.
I'm betting you a Dreamforce
right
thing.
here. You want to bet a Dreamforce thing?
Yeah.
I was going to say right here within the next week, you'll be able to associate knowledge articles to cases as a regular old Service Cloud user.
I say you're not. Put it. Oh wait, different podcast.
Wrong podcast.
All right. What else?
Well, what else? You go next. What else did you either put in your blog post, or what else is in the release notes that you care about for service? Or do you want me to throw another one out there that I think was a big one?
One that's not on the podcast.
Case feed is automatically enabled now in new organizations.
Okay.
So I remember when case feed came out maybe a year ago, and like setting it up, and there was all these steps to like get case feed, and you had to turn on. They had to be Service Cloud users, and then there was like case feed enabled on a profile and all this other stuff. So no longer case feed is the default view when a new Salesforce org is spun up. So get ready for case feed because it's coming, working within the feed, working within a console. This is where Salesforce is moving. I think cases are moving at a faster pace, the support side, than the sales side. But get ready because all these things are coming. The actual feed they're adding to, the look and feel of it, like call logs, chatter posts, email messages, all sorts of case comments. Everything's going to be in this feed. That's how you're actually going to be looking at the case. The case is going to be mostly feed data and not so much like case data, like issue, type, whatever, right? It's more about collaborating and working and getting the thing done and seeing the communications that are going back and forth between the agents that are working the case and the people who are being serviced. So I think this is a good thing to have case feed enabled because that's where they're going. And a lot of people, I feel like, did not turn it on.
Right.
I've yet to, and I've worked with plenty of Service Cloud clients who are still in the old page layout. We're looking at cases, old list views, not even using the console. So like this is really taking it to the next level.
Cool.
Of service.
I like that.
I like it too. I really like case feed. It has a lot of things to offer, and then they're doing other things with it. Well, I'll just keep going on case feed. Things I'd like to see move to like chatter proper, which are combined filter and sorting options.
Oh yeah.
So you know how like you can say like in your sort options of your chatter feed, like show me, sort it by the post date or sort it by like the most recent activity or like most recently commented on.
Right.
So there's that in the same menu as show me all updates, show me just the emails, show me just the status changes, show me just the call logs, all in one nice. I mean, that's the way to look at and sort and filter through chatter. Things that I think we've been talking about since chatter came out. Like, oh, I want like lists and sorting on chatter. I want better ways to get through it. So case feed brings all those things, and I think they're on the forefront, and the rest of the platform will follow as service sort of goes through these changes first.
Chatter to me, the thing that will bring chatter to the next level, and I've said this since chatter started, is read state. And until read state is something that chatter can handle, which I actually don't know if it ever will because
Twitter can't handle it very well. That's like a fire hose of information.
Yeah.
But if you're in a big org, chatter's just like it.
It's true, but Twitter to me is, oh, wow, informational. What's Bieber doing versus chatter, which is work-related.
What is Bieber doing?
He's doing some amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Yeah. Maybe Miley and Bieber. All right, cool. I was going to mention one other little thing before we moved on to the permission
then we
one.
Can move on to permissions.
Which is really, and again, I mentioned in the blog post, is really about, it's in the service section. It's a little strange because I guess it has to do with ideas and answers. But now, actually, you can test this now or see it now in the Salesforce community now, because community's on 14, Winter 14.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to someone's profile, you can see now there's actually two things. One, they're doing profile tabs. So now on a profile, there's tabs, and then one of the tabs...
That was mentioned in our rapid release.
But now you can see the ideas stuff. You can see their ideas and their answers and all that.
Because you can do custom tabs.
Right. Custom profile tabs.
Custom profile tabs per app. It's very weird the way they've broken it out. It's like if you're in this app, these tabs show up on your profile.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like I was playing around with it the other day.
What would a use case be for that?
I was playing around with it the other day just to show somebody what it would look like, and I put like the person's Twitter feed into a tab, and then I played around and I put the permissioner into a tab. So it was like you go to a person's profile and then you click on a tab and there's the permissioner. It was like any page you could get to. It's basically like a web tab. So you can do whatever you want with it.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But it's contextual.
It has some context to it, yeah.
Okay. It has some user field context.
If you poke around enough.
Okay. Excellent. Speaking of poke around, the next blog post in our 17-part series reminds me of Colbert and his 365-part series, which was the one I wrote last time, but you took over this time.
I did.
Permission sets for Winter 14.
Yes.
So as we have done, since we are big into permission sets, we are makers of the very free the Permissioner, which is an app exchange product that allows you to mass assign and revoke permission sets.
Quality
is over quantity or over cost?
Over cost.
Okay.
It's just good. It's just
so
good
we
stuff.
start to, because permission sets are becoming more and more an integral part of the way Salesforce does permissioning. So first, I'm going to say describe permission sets, and then let's talk about the new permission sets that are coming in Winter 14.
Sure. So permission sets are the ability to group one or more permissions into a set. Those permissions are, in general, the things that you would find on a profile. So I'll give a few examples, like object level or CRUD permissions, like create accounts, delete cases. Those types of things can be included in a permission set. You can also include system level permissions, so run reports or send email. You can throw those into permission sets. You can just throw record type selection into permission sets.
Summer 13.
And then you can assign those permission sets to one or many users, and it adds onto what their profile says that they can do. They're additive.
Right.
So they don't replace the profile. They just add more to what the user can already do. So their profile says that they can read and edit and create cases, because that user and the 23 other people that have that profile need those permissions, but you need this one user to delete, and not all of them. You can give them a permission set with delete cases, and that will just allow that one user to delete cases. You don't have to clone a profile and have the proliferation of profiles.
So I don't, the number of profiles is not an indicator of proliferation. The ratio of profiles to users is, so I was in an org the other day, client to remain nameless. They're actually nameless. No. And they had 25 active users and like 18 custom profiles.
Yeah, that's where permission sets just really come to the rescue.
I was like, okay, so you almost have a profile per person.
Yeah.
And they were using, and the joke was they had that many, and then so many of the users were on standard profiles.
That's just absurd.
So I was like, so you have all these custom profiles, but then you have all these, like half the users are on standard profiles.
Yeah.
Like
that's where you want to create like one custom profile called like company name standard,
right? And
then create a permission set for every single user.
Yeah,
just give it to them.
So I mean, the beauty obviously is that I'm going permissions 101. A user can only have one profile.
Correct.
But a user can have many permission sets.
And
in those permission sets can be different permissions.
Right.
So that's where this becomes powerful, because the one-to-one user to profile is limiting, and whereas a one-to-many is not limiting. And so one-to-many, many.
It's actually a many-to-many type of thing, because the permission set is not specific to that user, you can assign it to 100 or 1,000 users if you'd like. So you can create one permission set and hand it out to every user if you want.
Couple quirks. I mean, there are permission sets that are locked to licenses.
Yes,
there are some that are global.
That you can get around now with global permission sets.
So let's talk about the permission sets in Winter 14.
So I wrote a blog post that listed out.
Yeah, you did.
4 in a header, but I mentioned a 5th down in the last paragraph that I think is actually very important. So I'm gonna actually go with the view global header permission set
as your favorite
my favorite of. So everything that I'm saying, these are all things that you could do in profiles, but you can also do in permission sets. So the idea here is that permission sets and profiles are coming to a parity so that you can pretty much do everything that you could do in a profile and a permission set.
Right.
Close, not quite. But then there are some things that are actually special about permission sets that we'll get to sort of towards the end, like things that are not profile based. They're totally just permission set based. But this one, the view global header. So view global header, for those that haven't seen it or are not in an org where there is a community, when a community is enabled in an org, there all of a sudden becomes a gray bar at the top called the global header. And that gray bar includes your name and where you are in context of the application. So you could be in your internal community or your internal Salesforce org, or you could be in one or many of these communities. So it sort of tells you where you are, but it just turns on and it kind of changes the whole user interface overnight, like as soon as you turn the community on. So now, by default, that view global header permission is actually going to be turned off, and then you'll have to assign the view global header permission, and you can do that by handing out a permission set to view global header.
Nice. I actually logged into the Dreamforce portal because they have a global header, but it's not that one. It's actually a different one.
This is really for the internal user, because the community user is just in the community. The internal user is in their org and in the community if they are a part of that community. So, for those who aren't a part of communities, though, to see that global header is a little weird.
Right.
Like, what's the point of this? I know where I am. I'm in Salesforce.
Right. That's where I am.
I'm
in the Matrix.
In community.
I don't know. I mean, of the ones you've picked, I'm trying to pick the one. The one I want to pick is the one that you probably don't want me to pick. It's the one at the end.
The one at the end.
Yeah.
That one's special.
So
you could
special.
pick that one.
All right. Well, I mean, I think it's the most special because it's where things are going. Right. Which is permission set licenses. So this is taking everything you know about profiles and permissions and
really about the user record
and a lot, and sort of saying, okay, now this is a new way to think about it. Security in Salesforce is becoming, I'm surprised they don't break out their own certification for a security expert of Salesforce, because it is not.
I would take that test.
Yeah, you would. You might be able to pass it. So we mentioned this, or you mentioned it in one of the last ones, but it's now the ability to assign licenses via permissions or permission sets.
Correct.
Which is. Okay, so how would you use that? Well, we're going to move away from, or Salesforce is going to move away from, Safe Harbor, having the clickety boxes on the profile.
On the user.
On the user, you're right. Which is marketing user,
Service Cloud user,
Service Cloud.
Live Agent, all those things that are actually licenses. Like marketing user, whether you realize it or not, for all those admins out there who've been asked the question, why don't I have the new button on the campaigns?
Right.
And your profile says you could create campaigns. Where is this? It's that checkbox on the user.
Right.
It's a marketing license. Look at your company information.
And it assigns one to the user when you click it.
Exactly.
So
this is the way to do it in the future, and they're rolling it out with which one did they roll this? Oh, they're rolling it out with the new Sales Console.
Right.
So the Sales Console is going to be a permission set license as opposed to a checkbox on the user.
It's great.
That's where it should be.
Yep.
Don't need more checkboxes on users. Like how many? Eventually, where are you going to go with that?
No, it was a hack. I mean, looking back, and sorry guys who built it, it was a hack. It was like, oh, we've got this new feature, we want to charge for it. How are we going to do that? Let's tie it into the user record. But that doesn't work. And so they built. You could see it was like one. If you've watched the user record over the years, in some sort of timeline, those things have grown.
Well, it's all those types of it's kind of like the original, like the standard objects and how they deal with certain things, like record types, for example. Like if you think about a record type on an opportunity, or a record type on a case, or a record type on a lead, you have to have some other process set up first before you can create a record type. It's kind of like that. It's like, well, they don't do it that way anymore.
Right.
Or like the on an activity, the subject combo box thing, or like the competitors list on an opportunity, where it has it's sort of a pick list, but it's not. It's a combo box thing.
Combo box pick list?
It's like there's all these legacy things just floating around that I think I wrote a blog post. We're just plugging our blog today. I think I wrote a blog post about things that need some love or need to just go away.
Right. Tags.
Yeah. None of those things I just mentioned were one of them.
Yeah. Well, remember to go to blog.arkusinc.com. And if you're interested in the permissioner, which again is an application, so one of the limitations of permission sets is that in order to assign them, you need to go to the user, click on a related list, and then go add a permission. But if you want to give one permission to many users,
let's use our vernacular.
Permission sets to many users. You got to go clickety over and over and over again.
Or you could be really good and use the workbench.
Yes. Right.
I mean, if you're a developer and want to use the workbench.
Or you use our free app, which just allows you to go in and search. And again, it's been developed and designed to be easy and free, and so use it.
Use it. Do it.
Love it. And that could be our pick of the week, but it won't be. I do want to say a couple things.
About what?
About an event that's coming up.
Which one?
The Dreamforce event.
Oh, yeah. What do you have to say about it?
Well, I think we should start to announce some of the stuff that's going on.
What's going on?
Some of the Arkus stuff.
Let's do it.
First of all, you and I are both speaking at Dreamforce.
Twice.
Well, I was going to talk about the first one first, which is that you're speaking at a session about permission sets.
I am speaking about a session, oddly enough, about not even oddly enough, a session called Keeping It Simple with Permission Sets.
Oh, how do you find that so quickly? That was good.
Because I know what it's called, and I just got the email today telling me what it was called and who I'm speaking with. I'll be speaking with Adam Torman, product manager extraordinaire, as well as a couple of guys on his team who I know. And a client, and then I will be the implementation tips and tricks / the permissioner section, which will likely be me just talking briefly about implementation tips and showing off those implementation tips with the permissioner.
Nice.
And there may be t-shirts involved.
Oh,
there may be t-shirts involved. It's possible.
Safe harbor, but maybe not safe harbor t-shirts. And then we have another one. So there's another one that's called that the partner who shall not be named will be named because he will be doing his first Dreamforce speaking.
Yeah.
So you will learn about that. And I think the session, we'll have more about this later, but the session is called Little Apps That Help.
Right.
And
it's
he will
like
he will be speaking about the
permissioner. I think it's a 30-minute session with 10 presenters. They each get 3 minutes to just show off their apps.
Right. And then I'm going to be speaking at a session called Salesforce Professionals. Salesforce Professionals are here to stay.
Oh.
Which is all about...
they chose you for that?
They did, because I've been a Salesforce professional for a long time.
I guess so.
And between different industries and whatever. So that's interesting.
That's all true.
But then, even more exciting is that you and I will have our own session called...
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Why don't you... tell me that you're going to do this before you do.
You don't know what it's called?
I know what it's called. They just renamed it.
Renamed it.
It's called Salesforce Podcasters CloudFocus Weekly Live.
CloudFocus Weekly Live.
So we will be recording this. I actually know when and where. When, I know the date and the time. We will be recording a CloudFocus Weekly live in front of you people at Dreamforce.
That's correct.
On a stage or in front of a stage.
In front of the stage.
On Wednesday, November 20th from between 1 and 2 p.m. Although it probably will not take an hour, though it might, because we'll take questions and stuff from everybody.
We're going to do a live podcast. This is the first
ever live podcast in front of an audience.
Live studio audience. We've had an audience of 2 before.
Yeah. We've had people join us on podcasts at Dreamforce.
Right.
But this is going to be a good one. It's going to be fun.
I think we actually birthed a podcast by having someone join us
possible.
on a podcast.
Might be.
Just saying. But yeah, so that's very cool. So we have lots of stuff coming up, as well as I think there's other stuff that I'm not allowed to talk about, but there's some other podcasting thing that might show up, and we might know there'd be another place to come see us. We also have a booth. So there's that. We'll talk about that later. But now let's talk about a way to save.
Yeah.
If you haven't registered for Salesforce.
This is important.
Salesforce is now $13,000 billion. Let me go figure out the actual price.
I don't think it's that. They still have like a save $300 thing, so it's not full price yet. It's still $300 off the full price, which is usually somewhere around $1,500 or $1,600.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
While he's looking that up, when you go to Dreamforce.com and click register, as you walk through that registration flow, it's going to ask you at some point if you have a code.
Yes.
A registration code. And we have one for you to save $100. So as you walk through...
$100.
Right. Like I said, $100.
$100.
Like I said, $100.
$100.
Right. Like I said. When you walk through and you get to that point, type in this series of letters and numbers. D13 MVPREF. And that will save you $100. Again, it's D13 MVPREF to get $100 off.
Awesome.
Your registration at Dreamforce.
You do that. And to spend some more money, why don't you pick one of our CloudFocus picks of the week? So what's your...
I'm going to pick a free one.
Oh, I'm going to pick a sort of pay one.
Sort of pay?
Yeah,
okay.
Sort of pay.
So a client of ours asked me to install this for them earlier today. So I went ahead and installed it. It's from the App Exchange. It is a free product, so pricing is free. It's an app by a company called Insight Squared, and this is a opportunity funnel. So it's called Free Sales Funnel by Insight Squared.
Okay. And
it basically lets you visualize your stage conversion rates. So it's kind of like what those reports, the new kind of reports that are the analytics that are coming out, like the stage history trending analysis.
Yeah.
Kind of does that, but in a really nice sales funnel look and feel on a Visualforce page.
I like that.
It's free, so you can learn at what stage deals kind of fall off, like where you lose deals. Real percentage conversions by opportunity stages. So you can see like when an opportunity reaches this stage, we win it this percentage of the time. It's really cool visualization. Looks really nice on the screen, has hovers, things like that, and it shows totals. This is the free version. I'm sure they have pay versions because there's things missing in this one where if you click buttons, it just shows pictures of screenshots and buttons to say, click here to see more, which will then direct you to go pay them money for stuff. But if you just want to check out a really good opportunity conversion rate funnel that shows you some data that's reporting on stuff you can't necessarily do in Salesforce right now out of the box, this is a pretty good app. It's called Free Sales Funnel by Insight Squared, free on the App Exchange.
Like free.
Free is good.
Yeah, free is great. I'm going to pick something that's semi-free.
Okay.
It's not as good as free. But it's a great connector of two things. I'm going to use I have never used this yet because it's brand new. It came out like a week ago.
Yeah.
But it is Evernote for Salesforce. So this is the now semi, or I guess really official connection between Evernote, because there used to be a couple apps that you could do this
This is by
with.
Evernote. So,
yeah, it's by Evernote.
Yeah.
It is a application that allows you to take and share notes in Evernote inline inside of Salesforce, so it's a real interconnection, right? It's, the data is shared in between, but it requires that you have Evernote for Business, because Evernote for Business is really about sharing stuff. So this is, if you're like, what is this? And you say, what is it? This is a Google Docs competitor in a lot of ways, right? It's free form text that sits within Salesforce that allows you to collaborate in, again, a much more of a free form way. It's one of the things that Salesforce it does not have as a feature, is you can't do free form text. Rich text fields don't cut it. This is a way to have free form documents. And so if you're a Salesforce for Evernote or Evernote Business subscription, which is only $11 per user per month, it's not only, I guess that's somewhere in there. This is nice. And it has some tagging and sharing. You can connect it up to opportunities and contacts and stuff.
I'm reading some of the reviews here. I think it's not quite ready for prime
the reviews
time.
First of all, the reviews are all over the place. One just says, I can't install it, 1 star. The other one says it's great. And then the other one says, I installed, but it does this and shows this, and it's 4 reviews. It's not enough to because it's.
I just read them all.
Yeah, well, one of them actually talks about no installation thing. But anyway, you should read them. I actually want to try that because I'm a big Evernote fan. I use
Evernote for Business.
Huh?
Do you have Evernote for Business?
No, I don't.
Oh.
But I'm saying I'm a big Evernote fan, so I'd like to test this because I want to see where this use case is different from where we usually use free form text. So I'd love to see if someone said, "Oh, I want to do this." Because there's lots of integrations like the Box.net integration, and
the Box is a really good integration,
right? But it's not so much about free form text.
Just writing notes. It's about documents.
And one of the we use Google Notes to do this, and I'm like, oh, but what if that was inline to the project as opposed to sort of in its own doc? I mean, would that be better or worse?
I can't imagine this being better than Google.
Google Docs has a lot of collaboration
Lots
features,
of good stuff
right?
In there.
So, anyway, test it out. Let me know. Evernote for Salesforce, kind of 2 great things. It's like kind of having Apple for Salesforce. I'm all in. All right, well, that's it for this week. CloudFocus Weekly. Remember to follow Justin at Just Edelstein. Follow me at Jason M. Atwood. Follow the company at Arkus Inc. Remember to go to Facebook. We're on there. We're in the Dreamforce portal group, which you should definitely be in. We're in the Success Community group. We're on Google+, LinkedIn. Subscribe on iTunes, which we really love. And remember to come back next week. Next week, what are we going to talk about? Whatever news pops up. And we have some news that's popped
whatever
up this
news
week.
that pops up, we'll talk about it.
Really?
We probably just hit very briefly the blog post, but skim over it
Very
because we
briefly.
just spent quite a bit of time on Salesforce release.
Yep.
And it's going to be hitting the wild, so I think this was good timing to put this podcast together.
Yeah, so get caught up. Until then, till next week, from Jake and Justin, as always, enjoy those cloudy days.